Okay, so we're gonna do a quick little demo on how to just throw a cylinder, right? Something straight walls, straight up. We're not gonna go out, we're not gonna go in, we're just gonna go straight up because I feel like that's the best way to practice throwing. So first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna make a hole in the bottom. So this is centered or close enough. So I like to use these 3 fingers to center, and maybe my thumb or my other fingers will help guide. Or I'll keep my other hand on top. It's always good to connect your hands in some way. When you're throwing, the more your hands are connected, the more stable your piece will be. So I always like to keep my hands touching each other. So what I'm doing to slowly start to do is I'm just gonna push down just a little bit. We call that like a crater, right? So this is the start to the bottom. And then I'm gonna use these 3 fingers to slowly start to push down. And if I feel my finger wobble at all, I'll stop and just kind of regroup. So this finger is the one doing most of the work, and these other 2 are acting as like a guide towards the base. I'm just gonna slowly go down until I feel like it's about 1/4 of an inch. So I've been doing this for a while, so I know what a 1/4 inch feels like. But if I didn't, I could take a needle tool, poke it down, and then see what's left, and that'll give me my base. So now what I'm doing is I'm gonna curl this finger, and I'm gonna pull out, and that's gonna be the base of this cylinder. So if you look in here, you can see that this is where I started, and then I just pulled over to get the base. So now what I'm doing is I'm gonna press this, which means I'm just gonna go back and forth. I'm not going any further down. I'm just literally just pushing the clay to make it more compressed. It's like when you're making a slab and you rib it to make it stronger. This is the same idea. All right. So now if we look, it's a little thinner here, and I call this the donut. So I think the best way to learn how to throw a cylinder is we're gonna call lifting this donut. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my hand here, my fingers down here. Also, key point, never ever touch the wheel, never touch your pot unless the wheel is spinning. So I'm gonna push down just a little bit with this hand, just to keep pressure, make sure these are connected. And I'm gonna squeeze just a little bit with this hand, just so I can get a even thickness. And now, with a lot of water, I'm just gonna keep that consistency with this hand. This one's gonna be a brace, and I'm just lifting that donut up and towards the middle. Just like that. We call that coning the clay. Now, as you can tell, it's kind of like a cone. And what this does, it just sets the basis for throwing a cylinder. All right, like I said, hands connected in some way. So I'm gonna make a little indent, just like I did for the donut, right? It's thinner here than it is the rest of here. This is nice and even. It's thinner here. So now what I'm gonna do with enough water is I'm just gonna lift up and keep that consistent. Pressure all the way up. And then when I get to the rim, I'm just gonna slowly let go. Another little trick, you see this rim, it's off a little bit, right? I'm gonna put 1 finger on top, 2 fingers on the side. I'm gonna push this finger down into these 2 fingers, right? Telling the clay what to do. So I'm pushing it down into these 2 fingers. And what that's gonna do is compress the rim, and it's gonna make it stronger for when I throw. So now I'm gonna wet the walls again, inside and out. Gonna make a little indent at the bottom, and then lift up. And we call this throwing. Now all your pots are gonna be a little thicker down here than it is up here. And that's just a natural way of throwing. It's about supporting the walls. So maybe I'll take a rib now. And I'm just gonna compress. I'm not making it any taller. I'm just pushing against the rib to make it stronger. All right, so now if we cut this in half, we can kind of see what I'm talking about. All right, so it's a little thicker at the bottom and it tapers its way up, but it stays pretty even. We would trim this away. The base is a little thick, but it's not terrible. This is like a pretty good cylinder, right? This clay we can trim away later using a trimming tool, or maybe we could make one more throw to make that a little thinner. The base, if we wanted to make a foot, is a good thickness for that. But all in all, that's a pretty well thrown pot. You can tell the on the side. My throwing lines are perfectly fine, totally normal. Cylinder.